We need to be extra careful tomorrow with the upcoming Consumer Price Index or CPI numbers that drop at 8:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Standard Time. As we go into the report, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, and the Dow Jones are all pushing higher. Meanwhile, gold is modestly lower here today again, and the dollar index is making a bit of an attempt to potentially break out of this resistance level. Now, CPI has huge implications on markets, and when we take a look at the expectations for tomorrow, the market is setting its expectations pretty high. And by high, I actually mean low, because they're expecting low numbers for the year-over-year CPI report of 2.3% inflation. Now, this has come a long way. As you can see here, inflation at one point was almost at 9%. Actually, it was like slightly above that before this. 9% inflation in the United States, which has steadily been worked on by the Federal Reserve to get us down towards our target of 2%. And we're getting kind of close to that number. But tomorrow, the proof is in the pudding, if you will. With the CPI coming out tomorrow, expectations are very much expecting or hoping for inflation to continue to come down and get closer towards that 2% steady level. And before we go any further with this video, I wanted to mention today's video sponsor, Vantage. Vantage Markets allows traders around the world outside of the US to trade everything from CFDs, Forex, etc., all in one brokerage. In fact, they offer so many different things to trade. So just as an example of things that you can trade, check this out. If I go over to symbols, all in one broker, this is crazy. You can trade everything from oil, indices, gold, cryptocurrencies. And by the way, crypto has like a million things too. They also have gold, silver, as I mentioned. You can trade different Forex pairs, both minors, majors. They even have ETFs. They have gold plus, meaning other currencies that you can trade gold against. You can trade equities, both China and US, as well as so many other different equities as well. And they of course offer all your favorite trading platforms, notably MT4 and directly on tradingview.com. For viewers of my channel, they're also offering a very generous welcome bonus or deposit bonus when you sign up and get started. All the information can be found down below in the description of this video, so check out Vantage. Now back to the video. So with high expectations for inflation tomorrow, what can we expect? Well, we're going to map it out because I'll go ahead and be the first one to say I don't know what inflation is going to be tomorrow. And I don't think anybody really on YouTube is going to be out there telling you, even if they did know, what inflation is going to be tomorrow. The only people who do potentially know that are people who have their hands on the data early on. But as retail traders, we don't have that kind of luxury. So when we take a look at the charts going into this, let's talk about the dollar index first. If you have CPI and it comes out higher than expected and it surprises analyst expectations, let's say we get a 2.5% inflation didn't come down at all, it just stayed steady on a year-over-year basis, or it even goes up. If that happens, what you have in the dollar index is probably a big, ginormous breakout to the upside. The dollar index has already been trending up here recently, but a hotter than expected CPI print would push out expectations for the Fed to cut rates. Because remember, the Fed needs inflation to come down to continue cutting rates. And that inflation progress has been why the Fed has already started to cut rates this year. So remember, a hotter than expected print for CPI could actually really propel the dollar index into a stronger upward trend. Now we can reverse course and say, well, what if CPI actually comes in low? What if it really starts to move down towards that 2% target finally? Then we're looking at the dollar index potentially losing some of its recent steam and pulling back. I would actually not be surprised if we got a low CPI print to see the dollar head back to retest this area, specifically around the 101.8 level. And if we take a look at gold, it is all of that stuff kind of in reverse. If you get a really cool print for CPI, gold may actually start to find a low here and continue heading higher, because that would signal the Fed probably still cuts rates this year a couple more times. But if inflation is hot and sticky, it's going to reduce the probabilities of Fed rate cuts, strengthening the dollar and bringing gold lower. If we get a very hot CPI print tomorrow, I would not be surprised if we saw gold make a move towards this key level of support around 25.50. Gold has already been needing a pullback anyways, so a reason to do so would really potentially propel price lower. And I started out this video talking about stocks because of course the stock market has been trending up and up and up recently. And with inflation tomorrow, it is really putting a lot of pressure on the indices because everything is up so much. the CPI report needs to come in line with expectations. Otherwise, we probably have issues. In fact, in my opinion, if you get good inflation readings tomorrow, most likely the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, they'll probably go up a little bit. But if you get bad prints for CPI, meaning high prints, because that would indicate high levels of inflation, you could very quickly see the NASDAQ, S&P 500 correct some of their recent gains pretty quick. That being said, where out of all of this am I actually looking for trades? Because I'm talking about the different scenarios here, but I'll tell you where I'm actually looking for opportunities now. If we do get a reversal on the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, I'd be looking for buys. I still think that there's overall a pretty solid economy in the United States, and if inflation has one bad report, I would take that as an opportunity to pick up discounted pullbacks if I can. Now we go back to gold here for a second. I'm leaning sort of more on the bearish side. In fact, if I look at the Edge Finder here recently, it's actually flipped to a bearish reading for gold. If we go down here, you can see a lot of the economic data points that have been coming in strong have negatively impacted gold's score on the Edge Finder. So if we do get a bounce tomorrow and conditions on the Edge Finder still lean bearish, I may look for an opportunity to actually sell into that strength. Finally, with the dollar index, if we get big breakouts here, I might actually look for some currency pairs to potentially get long the dollar on some sort of pullback. So if the dollar index is down, there may be an opportunity for me to sort of look for some opportunities. Some things that stick out are short opportunities on the Euro USD. I've marked this up on my chart here. So if we were to get a big bounce in the next few days, perhaps a pullback into resistance could be a nice continuation play. We'll be live streaming the event on my YouTube channel tomorrow. If you'd like to come join us, we'll have myself and several other different traders collaborating on the stream. It's a lot of fun, so make sure to come over for the CPI report tomorrow morning at 8:15 a.m. US Eastern Time. We'll start streaming. Don't forget to check out today's video sponsor, Vantage, down below in the description, and thanks for watching. On the screen right now, you'll see some other options of other videos we put together that might be helpful to you in your trading career. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.